It started with a phone call I almost didn't answer. I was walking home, 11:47 p.m., light rain, empty street, boots soaked from stepping into a puddle I didn't see. My shift had ended 3 hours earlier, but the boss made me stay and fix a payroll mess. That wasn't my fault. I was tired, hungry, already thinking about whatever was left in the fridge. Probably pasta again. And then my phone rang. The screen just said, "Private number." I almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. But something in me paused. I picked up. I didn't say anything. Neither did the voice for a moment. Then, gravelly, calm, like someone who never speaks unless they mean it, he said, "Daniel, it's me, Logan Kessler." That name hit harder than I expected. Logan Kessler. I hadn't heard that voice in over 8 years. Last time we spoke, we were in uniform, sweating under desert sun, arguing about whether to keep moving or set camp. He saved my life once, maybe twice, and then he disappeared. No forwarding contact, no social media, no ceremony, just gone. So now he calls, and my first reaction? Suspicion. "Where the hell have you been?" I asked. Logan chuckled, still blunt. "Good, listen. This isn't small talk. I wouldn't call unless it mattered." Of course he wouldn't. Logan wasn't a guy who sent Christmas cards. If he was calling, something was on fire. "I've got a job," he said. "Pays 50 grand for 3 days. You in?" I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it sounded insane. "You're serious?" "Always. No bullshit. Private transport. NDA. You'll get the rest when you land." "When I land? Land where?" "Can't tell you that, but I can tell you this. You don't want to miss it, and you don't want to ask too many questions. If that's a problem, say no now. I'll hang up." There was silence, just the faint buzz of rain in the background. I stood on the sidewalk, phone to my ear, heart starting to beat like it used to. Back when decisions had weight. Back when yes or no could cost you blood. "Why me?" I asked. Another pause. "Because I trust you," he said, "and because you don't have many options left." That part hurt more than it should have, but he wasn't wrong. My bank account was in overdraft. My rent was late, again. The job I had barely kept me afloat. And the thought of another year of just surviving, it made my teeth ache, so I said it. "All right, I'm in." Logan exhaled, slow, like a man who'd been holding his breath. "You'll get a message in the morning," and he said, "Don't talk to anyone about this, not even your reflection." And then, click. The line went dead. I stood there for a moment longer, still holding the phone, as if more words might come through it. But all I heard was the city, wet tires on pavement, a horn in the distance, the low hum of everything continuing on without me. That night I didn't sleep. I didn't pack either. Something told me I wouldn't need much. By 6 a.m., a black car was waiting outside my building. Windows tinted, engine already running. The driver didn't speak, just nodded when I stepped in. Inside, a sealed envelope sat on the seat beside me, my name typed in bold. Inside the envelope, a non-disclosure agreement, a plane ticket, one way, and a prepaid card with $10,000 loaded on it. 10,000, just like that. The NDA was 5 pages long. Legal jargon, threat of lawsuits, prosecution, asset seizure, and a simple line at the bottom: failure to comply will result in immediate consequence. No signature from them, just a blank space for mine. I signed it. The airport wasn't commercial. We drove through a service gate, passed 2 security checks, and stopped next to a sleek black jet. No markings. The pilot greeted me like he knew my face. "Daniel Ward," he said. "Welcome aboard." The flight was smooth. No other passengers, no announcements, no destination mentioned. I stared out the window for hours, watching the clouds shift into mountains, then into endless forests. No cities, no roads, no names. When we finally landed, it was dusk. The runway was a narrow strip carved out of dense pine, surrounded by nothing but trees and a wooden sign that simply read, welcome. No other words. Two men met me at the tarmac. Both wore black uniforms. No insignias, no names. One of them handed me a duffel bag. "For your stay," he said. "Mr. Kessler will see you in the morning." And that was it. They led me to a narrow trail where a rugged all-terrain vehicle waited. The ride took nearly 20 minutes. No cell service, no signals of any kind. Just silence and pine needles and something else I couldn't name. Finally, we reached it. The lodge, a massive wooden structure. Too perfect, too clean, like something out of a billionaire's hunting fantasy. Warm lights glowed behind heavy glass. A porch stretched along the front, with chairs no one sat in. It was beautiful, but cold, dead, like a painting pretending to be a place. I stepped inside, and that's when I realized, whatever this job was, it wasn't security. It wasn't logistics. It was something else entirely, something I wasn't ready for. But it was already too late. The woods started swallowing everything as soon as we left the airstrip. No more light, no more signs, not even a damn moon above us. Just black trees pressing in from all sides. Thick, ancient, quiet in a way that felt unnatural. Not peaceful, not even empty, just watching. The two men who picked me up didn't say a word the entire ride. I sat in the back of the ATV, engine rattling beneath us, my fingers gripping the duffel bag they gave me. I hadn't opened it yet. Something told me I shouldn't. Not until someone said it was okay. Everything about this place was permission-based. Branches brushed against the sides as we moved deeper. I tried to check my phone. No signal. Not even Wi-Fi. Just a dead screen. And my own reflection staring back at me, eyes a little more tired than they'd been yesterday. Then the ATV stopped. No announcement. No destination name. One of the men, taller, square jaw, eyes that didn't blink, stepped out and simply said, "You're here." I got out. The tires crunched pine needles behind me, and in front of me, rising out of the woods like something built to impress and intimidate at once, was the lodge. It looked like it had been carved straight from the forest itself. Massive timber columns, deep green roofing, huge wraparound windows that didn't show what was behind them. The kind of building rich people put in magazines, except this one felt like it didn't want to be seen. Warm lights flickered from inside. But no one stood at the door, no welcome committee, no voices, just this breathless stillness. "Inside," the man said again, motioning toward the door. I walked up the steps. The wood was smooth, no creaks, no signs of wear, like it was new, or just never used. The door opened with a soft click. I stepped in. The first thing that hit me, the silence. Not absence of sound, but something deeper, like the lodge absorbed noise. There was a lobby, wide, clean, overly elegant. Leather chairs lined the walls. A fireplace crackled on one side. Too perfect, too contained. Above it, a mounted elk head stared blankly into the room. It should have felt cozy. It didn't. Someone behind a desk looked up as I entered. A woman, maybe mid-40s, in a black uniform. She didn't smile. "Daniel Ward," she said. "Room 14. Your bracelet's already been activated." "Bracelet?" I asked. She didn't respond. Just slid a thin black band across the desk toward me. It was smooth, cold. No visible buttons, no logo. "Wear it at all times," she said. "You'll receive instructions each morning. Meals are served at 7, 12, and 6. Do not leave the grounds after sundown." Something in her voice, practiced, memorized, like she'd said this 100 times before. "Is Logan here?" I asked. Another pause, then, "He'll meet with you when the time is appropriate." And that was it. I took the bracelet, clipped it on. It tightened instantly. Not painfully, but firm. Almost like it knew me. Room 14 was down a narrow hall, past a long row of identical doors. Each had no names, no numbers, just an embossed symbol, a triangle inside a circle. My door slid open when I approached. No key, no handle, just a whisper of movement, and I was inside. The room was nicer than any hotel I'd ever stayed in. Sleek bed, stone bathroom, blackout windows, and a digital screen built into the wall that blinked softly, waiting. I sat on the edge of the bed, the mattress adjusted under my weight, like it was reading me. Still no sign of Logan. Still no explanation. Still no exit. The duffel bag sat in the corner where I dropped it. I finally opened it. Inside, black clothes, neatly folded, tactical boots, a knife, a small flashlight, no instructions, no personal note. This wasn't a resort or a retreat. This was prep gear. Outside my window, I saw only darkness. Not the kind you get in cities or even suburbs. This was real black. The kind that pressed against the glass like a living thing. I stared for too long, thought I saw a shape moving between the trees. But maybe it was just the wind. The bracelet on my wrist blinked once. Soft blue. Then silence. I lay down, fully clothed. I didn't sleep, couldn't, not here, because something about this place felt too quiet to be safe, too perfect to be real, too far gone to turn back. The smell of wood smoke hit me before anything else. Somewhere outside, not far from my window, something was burning. Not wildly, not like an emergency. This was controlled, chosen. I got up, dressed in the black clothes from the bag. They fit too well, like they'd been made for me, and followed the glow flickering through the trees. The path out back led to a wide clearing, and the moment I stepped out, I saw them. People, at least 24, standing, drinking, laughing, gathered around a wide stone fire pit, flames dancing in the center. There was music playing low, slow jazz maybe, and expensive bottles, whiskey, wine, being passed like casual water. They didn't look like killers, they looked like CEOs. Tailored suits, silk scarves, jewelry that could pay off my entire student debt in one blink. One man wore a velvet smoking jacket. A woman leaned back in a curved metal chair, swirling something dark in a crystal glass, lips redder than the fire. No guards, no security fences, but still, no freedom. I stood just at the edge of the clearing. No one had noticed me yet, or maybe they had, and pretended not to. Then I saw Logan. He was sitting near the fire, boots up on a log, cigarette burning between his fingers. He looked older, heavier, more tired than I remembered, but still him. Same steel in the jaw, same quiet alertness behind the eyes. When he finally noticed me, he smiled, thin and slow. "Daniel," he said, lifting his glass, "welcome to the party." I didn't move. "Come on," he added, voice warm. "You've earned a drink." I stepped forward, careful, and took the seat next to him. "What is this place?" I asked, not bothering with hello. He sipped, exhaled smoke through his nose. "It's a job," he said. "The kind that keeps people like us off the street. The kind where you don't ask too many questions, and you get paid for shutting the hell up." That's not an answer. Logan tilted his head toward the flames. "You see them?" he asked. "The ones with the smiles? They're the reason we exist. They own everything. And this is where they come to let go, relax, play." He looked at me, not cruelly, not kindly, just steady. "You still want the 50 grand? I didn't answer. He chuckled softly, took another drag. "It's easy," he said. "We keep the lodge running. We keep things quiet. We clean up what needs cleaning. And when it's over, we walk away richer." A loud laugh exploded from across the fire. One of the guests, a tall man with slick-back gray hair, was telling a story, slapping another guest on the back. They both looked like senators. Behind them, 2 staff members were clearing empty glasses. One of them glanced up, briefly, and I saw something flicker in his eyes. Not fear, something worse. Resignation. "You can leave," Logan said almost too casually. "But if you do, they'll know. And once they know you've seen this place, they don't let go." My throat went dry. "What happens tomorrow?" I asked. Logan's eyes didn't blink. They hunt. He said it like it was the weather. I felt everything inside me freeze. Blood, thought, time. He must have seen it in my face. It's not what you think, he added. It's not random. It's controlled, structured. There are rules. Rules for hunting people? He didn't flinch. Better that than chaos. Behind us, the fire cracked louder. A burst of sparks rising like ghosts into the night. I looked around again. The laughter, the music, the soft clinks of glass, and realized something terrifying. They weren't celebrating. They were winding up. This wasn't a climax, this was a warm-up. And whatever was coming next would burn a hell of a lot hotter than this fire. I woke up to a sound I couldn't place. Not an alarm, not a knock. Something deeper. A low hum, mechanical, steady, vibrating through the walls like a heartbeat that wasn't mine. The screen on the wall blinked awake. Soft white light. A single message hovered in the center. Dress and report to the West Gate. Or 6, sure. No signature. No further detail. The bracelet on my wrist pulsed once. Cool and blue. I didn't think. I just moved. Outside, the world was still dark, but alive. The woods weren't silent like before. I could hear something. Not animals, not wind. Something else. Movement. Controlled. I followed the narrow gravel path, already dressed in black, from the night before. At the edge of the compound, just past a steel fence I hadn't noticed yesterday, stood a group of people. 10, maybe 12. All of them wore bracelets like mine. And all of them looked confused. Not scared, not yet, but close. Most were average. Not soldiers, not fighters. I saw a woman in scrubs, a man in business shoes and no coat. One guy looked like a college student. One woman kept checking over her shoulder like she was expecting someone to call her name. No one spoke. Then the gate opened. No siren, no warning, just a sharp mechanical hiss, and then silence. From the trees, 4 people stepped forward. They weren't dressed like us. Their gear was clean, their weapons real, and their eyes bored. One of them pointed toward the forest with the tip of his rifle. Run! No roar, no command, just that word. Run! Someone hesitated. The woman in scrubs stepped forward, started to say something, and then a shot rang out. It hit the dirt 2 inches from her feet. She ran. They all did, except me. I stood still. One of the armed men, blond, young, grinning like he was at a damn carnival, looked at me. You deaf? He said. I looked at him. You hunting them? He didn't answer, just smiled, raised his rifle to rest on his shoulder, and said, It's a tradition. Then he nodded toward the trees. You've got 10 seconds. I turned, and I ran. Not because I was afraid, because I understood. This wasn't a drill. This wasn't a simulation. This was real. This was blood. I hit the tree line at full speed, boots crashing through leaves and undergrowth. The others were already scattering ahead, some sprinting, some stumbling. I passed the business guy, out of breath and pale. He looked at me like I had answers. I didn't. Behind us, I heard the first real shot. Not a warning, a hit, a scream, a wet, sickening sound. And then, silence again. The kind that wasn't empty, but waiting. This wasn't some elite paintball club. It wasn't a scare tactic. It wasn't about secrets or even control. It was something older, hungrier, something that had been happening long before I ever got that phone call. They were hunting people, for sport, for pleasure, for something even worse, for balance. As I ducked under a fallen branch and slid down a muddy hill, lungs burning, legs tearing against roots and stone, I realized something cold. I was never hired to protect anyone. I was brought here to run. From the very beginning, Logan knew, and that meant only one thing. This was never about 50 grand. It was about survival. They caught me just before nightfall. I had made it farther than most, deeper into the trees, past the ridge where the moss thickens and the air turns colder. I'd found a stream, followed it until the sound of the shots grew distant. And then I saw the drone, tiny, silent, hovering like an insect from some other planet. It blinked once, red, and disappeared above the canopy. Within minutes, they were there. 2 men, 1 woman, all in gear, all with rifles. They didn't chase. They didn't shout. They surrounded me like they were walking a fence line, and I was the last loose thread. I dropped to my knees, slow, deliberate, raised my hands. The youngest of them stepped forward, looked me over, and said something I'll never forget. Caught a clean one, like I was a fish. They put a hood over my head. No more forest, no more light, just breath, leather, engine rumble, then cold metal floor. They didn't speak to me again until hours later, after I was processed. I woke up in a small room. Concrete walls, no windows, strip light above that buzzed like it was angry. My bracelet was gone, my clothes too, replaced with a thin gray uniform and a set of canvas boots that didn't quite fit. There were no mirrors, no clock, just the feeling of time dripping like water through rusted pipes. Eventually the door opened, and Logan walked in. He looked at me for a long time, not angry, not smug, just quiet. I stood. "You knew," I said. He didn't answer right away, just reached into his coat and tossed something onto the small metal table in the corner. It was a new bracelet, darker this time, heavier. "Put it on," he said. "I'm done." "No," Logan said, calmly, firmly, like he was talking to a stubborn child. "You're just getting started." He sat. "This place," he said, "isn't about death. It's about order. You think it's chaos, but it's not. It's the last honest system left." "You call this honest?" He raised his eyebrows slightly. "You were in the military. Don't pretend you never followed an order you didn't understand." I clenched my fists. "This isn't war. It's cleaner," he said. "No civilians, no politics, just rules." I stared at the bracelet. The black band seemed to breathe on its own. "What happens if I don't wear it?" Logan leaned back. "Then you're outside the system, and out there, the system eats you." There was a long silence between us. "You lied to me," I said. "I gave you purpose." "No, you gave me a cage." Logan stood, slowly. "You're not in a cage, Daniel. You're in a test. And the sooner you accept that, the longer you'll live." He turned to go. At the door, he stopped. "Room 6. You'll meet the others. Don't be late." And just like that, I was alone again, except I wasn't, because the walls were listening, and somewhere inside them, someone was watching every single move I made. I wasn't a guest. I wasn't staff. I wasn't even prey anymore. I was inventory. The door opened, and the forest was already waiting. No countdown, no instructions, just the sudden rush of cold air, and a voice behind me that whispered, "Go." I didn't think. I moved. Boots hit soil, muscles tightened. My legs remembered what my brain hadn't processed yet. This wasn't about clever. This was about faster. The trees weren't just obstacles. They were mouths ready to swallow sound, light, and me. I ran. No clear path, no strategy, just forward. Lungs burning, heart punching against my ribs like it wanted out. Somewhere behind me, a bell rang once, and then the woods exploded. Gunshots, distant but real, yelling, barking, the rustle of something fast and mechanical weaving through branches. Drones. I ducked under a fallen trunk, slipped through thorns that tore at my sleeves. Blood didn't matter. Not yet. Ahead, movement. I saw someone. Not a hunter, another runner. He was maybe 20. Long legs, loose hoodie soaked in sweat. He glanced back, saw me, eyes wide. We didn't speak. Didn't need to. In this place, eye contact was a whole conversation. Don't slow down. Don't fall. Don't make a sound unless you want to die. We ran side by side for a moment, then split. The sound of boots behind us was getting closer. And above, that faint, whining buzz again. I looked up. Mistake. The drone caught me in a spotlight. 1 second, 2, then zipped off like a wasp with a mission. And I knew what that meant. They had me marked. The terrain dipped. Sudden, steep. I slid down a slope, grabbed a root to stop my fall. My shoulder twisted. Sharp pain, but I kept going. Somewhere in the blur, I heard a scream. Short, human, final. The kind of scream you don't answer, because you know it's already too late. I wanted to stop, just for a second, just to breathe. But something in me, something old, something from before, whispered, keep moving. If you stop, you die. I remembered the heat of the desert, the sound of mortars, the way silence always came right before the worst. This wasn't so different, just newer tech, newer masks, same cold eyes behind the scope. I found a narrow ridge, half collapsed from erosion, slid under it, crawled on my elbows through mud and roots until I couldn't see the sky anymore. I stayed there. Not long, maybe 2 minutes, maybe 10. Time stops meaning anything when you're prey. My breath was ragged, my fingers trembled. I reached into the side pocket of my pants. Still there, the knife, small, dull, but mine. And in that moment, it was enough. I wasn't ready to fight, not yet. But I was done being tracked like a ghost in a maze. Somewhere out there, they thought I'd break, that I'd tire out, that I'd panic, and maybe I would. Just not today, not in the dark, not on their terms. I crawled out from the ridge and vanished into the woods. No more straight lines, no more panic, only instinct, and one word in my head, over and over again: run. I found her near the creek. She was slumped against a fallen tree, one hand pressed tight to her side, blood seeping through her shirt like spilled ink. Her breathing was shallow, uneven, but she was alive, barely. I froze the second I saw her, not because she scared me, because she didn't. She looked up, slow, guarded, pupils sharp despite the pain. Not yours, she said, voice thin, cracking. Go. It wasn't a scream, it wasn't fear, just tired, controlled. I'm not one of them, I said. She didn't believe me. You could see it in her jaw, clenched, ready to bite, not beg. Then her eyes drifted down to my bracelet, the new one, black. Then why are you wearing that? She asked. I didn't have an answer ready. I crouched slowly, keeping my hands visible, palms out, like I was surrendering. I didn't choose this, I said. She laughed once, bitter, then winced from the movement. None of us did. Her hand moved, revealing the gash beneath her ribs. Ugly, torn, not clean. She'd been hit by something, maybe a trap, maybe a hunter with bad aim. I pulled off my overshirt. She didn't stop me. You'll slow me down, she said as I wrapped the cloth around her tight. They'll come faster if they smell blood. Then we'd better keep moving, I said. You don't even know who I am. Doesn't matter right now. She narrowed her eyes, like she was trying to read something under my skin. You military? I nodded. You? She didn't answer, but her posture, her tone, said yes. I offered her my hand. She stared at it, then finally took it. Her grip was stronger than I expected. She stood slowly, biting back a groan. As she shifted, I caught a glimpse of her side. Not just the wound, but the scar. Old, thick, twisted. Not from this hunt, from another one. You've been here before, I said quietly. She didn't deny it. Instead, she said, Name's Ava. I didn't tell her mine. She didn't ask again. We moved. She was slower, favoring one leg, but she didn't complain. Not once. We ducked under branches, climbed ridges, avoided open trails. She knew the terrain like she'd walked it in her nightmares. At one point she stopped, scanned the trees, and said, There's a cabin East Ridge, 4 clicks. Might still be there. Might? She gave me a look. Nothing here stays still, not even buildings. She was right. This place shifted, not physically, mentally. The deeper you went, the more it bent around you. Time, direction, distance, all of it warped. On the ridge, she stumbled. I caught her. She cursed weakly, not at the pain, at herself. I told myself I wouldn't do this again, she muttered. This? Help someone. I didn't ask why. I already knew. In a place like this, helping people gets you killed, but she helped me anyway. And now, I owed her, not just for the creek, but for not shooting me on sight. We reached a clearing just before dusk. The sky above was the color of ash. The trees whispered in a language I didn't want to understand. And for the first time since this nightmare started, I wasn't alone. But being with Ava didn't make it safer. It just made it real, because now I had something to lose. The cabin looked abandoned from a distance, but nothing in this place ever really was. Half hidden by overgrowth, sagging to one side, roof partially collapsed. No smoke, no signs of light, just stillness. Too still. Ava stopped just short of the porch. Don't touch the door, she said. I froze. She pointed to the corner of the frame, barely visible in the fading light, a black dot no larger than a thumbnail. Sensor, she whispered. They use them to tag movement. How do you know that? She didn't answer. Instead, she knelt, brushed away the leaves at the base of the wall, and pulled loose a section of the outer paneling. Behind it, a crawl space, dark, cramped. After you, she said. I slid in. The air was musty, old rot, wet dirt, and something sweeter, like stale cologne. Ava followed, dragging herself beside me. Her breathing was heavier now. She was losing blood, even if she wouldn't say it out loud. Inside the cabin was a shell. No furniture, no glass in the windows. Just dry wood, cracked floorboards, and wires. Wires everywhere. Running along the beams, looping behind walls, vanishing into corners. At the center of the room stood a rusted-out control panel, something cobbled together from cameras, screens, and blinking modules. Half of it was dead, but the other half was humming. Ava sat beside it and pressed one button, then another, and the wall came to life. 7 monitors flickered on, glitching grayscale. One showed a distant ridge, another, a trail, empty, a third, a room I didn't recognize with a chair bolted to the floor, and the fourth, I saw myself. 2 hours ago, standing at the west gate. The image was tagged, Subject 47B, Live Behavior Feed. I felt something cold slide through my spine. They're not just watching, Ava said, her voice flat. They're scoring you. I turned to her. Scoring, she nodded. Behavior, decision-making, morality pressure, loyalty under threat. The bracelet doesn't just track you, it analyzes you. She pulled out a small beat-up tablet from her pack, swiped through logs. I've seen the metrics. They call it synthetic evolution modeling. I didn't understand all of it, but I understood enough. This wasn't sport. It wasn't even control. It was science. Ava tapped one of the monitors, paused a feed. A woman ran across the screen, alone, panicked. Her bracelet blinked red. Ava didn't look away. She begged, she said softly. They didn't stop. They liked it. Who was she? Someone I let trust me. She turned off the screens. Silence returned, thick and sudden, like a lid slammed shut on something too loud to handle. We sat there breathing, and then we heard it, a voice, not speaking, not directly, whispering, from the trees outside. It wasn't clear, not language, but it had rhythm, like a recording played backward. I crawled to the shattered window and looked out. The forest wasn't still. Branches twitched, leaves rustled without wind. Something out there was moving in circles, watching. Maybe it wasn't real. Maybe it was stress, trauma, fear warping sound. But Ava heard it too, and she said just 3 words. "They're testing proximity." I turned to her. "What?" She looked up, and for the first time, I saw real fear in her face. "They want to see what we'll do when we feel hunted, but can't prove it." I swallowed. Then they're about to get an answer. Because whatever they were waiting for, whatever they thought would break us, they'd have to try a hell of a lot harder. We stayed the night in the crawl space beneath the cabin. No fire, no lights, no words for a long time. Just the soft ticking of Ava's breath and the cold creeping into our bones. I didn't sleep, neither did she. Somewhere out there, the forest moved, slowly, like it was breathing. By morning, her bandage was soaked through. I tried to offer help, again, but she waved it off like it was nothing, like she'd bled through worse. She was sitting cross-legged, arms resting on her knees, staring out through the cracks in the wall, watching something I couldn't see. "Ava," I said, quiet, almost too quiet. She didn't answer. "I saw your scar." Still nothing. I've seen scars before, but not like that. Silence stretched between us, long and deliberate. Then she finally spoke. I was 16. Her voice was dry. No emotion, no weight, just fact. "They took me the first time in 2009. I thought it was some kind of simulation, a test, part of some underground militia training." Her fingers rubbed the edge of her wrist, where the old bracelet must have been. "It wasn't." She didn't look at me when she said it, just kept staring into the wood. "They said I passed, that I adapted faster than anyone they'd seen. They offered me a role, not prey and observer, then handler, then..." She trailed off. "What changed?" I asked. She looked at me now. "I stopped pretending I didn't like it." That hit harder than anything else she could have said. I leaned back, slowly, trying not to show what I felt rising in my throat. She saw it anyway. "I didn't hurt anyone," she added. "Not directly, not the first year. I just watched, took notes, recorded stress patterns, decision-making under fear. And after the first year," she blinked, slow, and didn't answer. I looked away. The silence between us wasn't empty anymore. It was full, of everything she wouldn't say, everything she couldn't. "I came back," she said eventually, "because someone has to burn it down, and someone who helped build it might know where to start." "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. Her eyes narrowed. "Would you have trusted me?" Fair question. I didn't know the answer. "I wasn't planning on surviving this," she said. "I was planning to upload the data, get it out, then disappear. But now you're bleeding in a ditch with a stranger," I said. She smiled as just a twitch at the edge of her mouth. "Exactly." I wanted to be angry, wanted to call her a liar, a traitor, a monster. But I couldn't, because she wasn't the same person she was back then. And neither was I. Out in the trees, a low metallic thud echoed once. Close. She tensed. We both froze. I turned to the window, and for just a second, I saw a shape. Not human, not machine. A mask. Watching. Gone in a blink. "Time's almost up," she whispered. I nodded. "Then let's give them something to watch." The door was heavier than it looked. Metal, old, embedded into the side of a hill like it had been waiting to be found. Ava entered a code, fingers shaking, lips pale, and it hissed open like it was alive. Inside was room 7. No windows, no scent, just cold. Colder than anything outside. The hallway was narrow. Steel walls, concrete floor, blinking emergency lights. No decor, no sound, except for the hum of servers somewhere deep in the belly of the earth. "They don't bring everyone here," Ava said. Her voice echoed. "Who do they bring?" "The ones they're studying long-term. The ones who survive." We passed 2 doors, both locked, silent, until we reached the third. Ava swiped a key card. The panel blinked green. The door opened. Inside, walls covered in screens. Floor-to-ceiling panels, all running different feeds, heat maps, biometric readouts, digital logs, names, faces, timestamps. And at the center of it all, a chair, not just a chair, the chair, bolted to the floor, thick leather straps coiled loose like dead snakes, a steel headband suspended above it like a halo from hell. This is where they test compliance, Ava said. Stimulus and restraint, thought control, behavior loops, sleep deprivation, narrative restructuring. I didn't respond. Because my eyes had locked on one screen, top right, grainy footage, time-stamped 5 years ago. The image was jumpy. A man, disoriented, limping, running through woods that looked exactly like these. He was screaming, not out loud, with his face, like he was trying to hold his own skull together. And I knew that face. Even through blood and mud and distortion, I knew it. Stop the feed, I whispered. Ava turned, but didn't touch anything. Who is he? She asked. My brother. It came out too soft, too slow. She didn't say anything, just watched me watching him. He went missing in 2014, I said. They said it was a hiking accident. No body, no signs, no clues. Now I knew why. Another feed started on the screen beside it. Same man, different angle. This time, in the chair, head down, straps tight, a single tear running from his right eye. He wasn't screaming. He was mouthing something. Over and over. I leaned in, tried to read his lips. 2 words. Not real. Then the feed cut. Dead screen. Just static. Ava stepped back. Her face had changed. Something had shifted in her. From distant to human. I'm sorry, she said. And I think she meant it. I swallowed, throat burning. The bracelet on my wrist pulsed once, as if it knew. This was never about me, I said. They've been watching my family for years. Generational data, Ava said softly. They like control groups. I sat on the edge of the cold steel chair. Everything inside me felt like it had cracked open. I wasn't here by accident. I never was. This wasn't punishment. It was inheritance. We didn't find her. She found us. It happened after room 7, after the video, after the floor under my thoughts gave out. We walked, drifted, through another tunnel, darker than the last. Ava led. I followed. I couldn't hear my own heartbeat anymore. Just white noise. And that single phrase over and over again in my head. Not real, not real, not real. Then the lights ahead flickered, and there she was, standing in the corridor like she'd been waiting. Perfect posture, gray suit, pale eyes behind frameless glasses, hair tied back so tightly it looked sculpted. No guards, no weapon, just her. Lang, the architect of all this. She smiled, politely, like we were early to a meeting. Daniel, she said, and Ava, I'm glad you made it this far. My hands clenched, not fists, just nerves folding in on themselves. Ava didn't move. Neither did I. You're not running, I said. Why would I? Lang tilted her head slightly. You're not here to kill me. How do you know that? Because people who kill don't ask questions. And you're still asking. She stepped closer. I expected fear. I expected madness. I expected some villainous satisfaction. Instead, I saw fascination. You're extraordinary, she said softly. You resisted longer than anyone projected. Even now, after room 7, you're still stable. Angry, yes, but not broken. I said nothing. She turned to Ava. And you're the anomaly. We thought you were a failed returnee. But here you are, leading him to the core. You talk too much, Ava said. Lang smiled, not insulted, amused. That's fair. She folded her hands in front of her, gentle, almost grandmotherly. You both came here for something. Answers, revenge, closure. She paused. I came for data. I took a step forward. You're experimenting on human beings." "No," she said, calm, clear. "We're studying behavior, systems, the way stress alters morality, how fear shapes loyalty. We don't design the monsters, we just measure their temperature. You watched my brother die." Lang didn't flinch. He was important to the model. His resistance helped us understand generational patterns. A pause. "And he died with dignity." My body tensed. Ava touched my arm, barely, just enough to stop me from launching. Lang saw it. "You think I'm the villain," she said, "but all I've ever done is measure what's already inside people." She stepped closer now, unafraid. "You want to burn this place down, Daniel, I understand. But before you do, ask yourself something." She looked me straight in the eye. "If you had the power to build something perfect, safe, honest, efficient, would you do it? Even if it meant breaking a few noisy pieces?" Silence. "Everyone wants peace," she said, "until they learn what it costs." Then she simply turned and walked past us. No guards, no fear. Just footsteps disappearing down a hallway that didn't feel real. We let her go, because the truth is, I wasn't sure which one of us she had just released, her or me. We found a place to rest, barely. An old service tunnel caved in halfway with enough space to sit but not stand. The walls were damp, the air stale. Somewhere above us, the lodge kept breathing. We lit nothing, no fire, just silence, and the faint pulse of our bracelets in the dark. Ava sat across from me, legs pulled close, her face unreadable. A silhouette made of thoughts she wasn't saying. I couldn't stop seeing Lang's face. That calm, that certainty, like she'd seen the world burn before and decided it was worth it. My voice finally broke through the stillness. "We should have shot her." Ava didn't look up. "You think it would have mattered?" I didn't answer. She shifted slightly, pain flickering in her shoulder. "Even if we killed her," she said, "the system stays. There's always another Lang. Then we take the whole thing down." Her eyes met mine, hollow but focused. "You're talking about burning a ghost house. They don't advertise, they don't leave footprints. Everything here, it resets. Not if we expose them." A pause. I could hear something above, metal clanking, distant, muffled. Maybe footsteps, maybe paranoia. Ava looked down at her hands. "You know why I didn't tell you everything?" she said. "Because you thought I'd run?" "No," she whispered, "because I thought you wouldn't." That hung between us for a while, heavier than it had any right to be. "I was right," she added. I leaned my head back against the stone. "You ever think about what happens after?" She shook her head. "There is no after. There's only next." I turned toward her. "We get the data. We get out. We make it public. Broadcast it. Leak it. Name names." Ava smiled. "The first real one." "And then?" I shrugged. "Quiet. We disappear." She laughed, soft, sad. "I was never meant to survive this. Neither was I." We sat like that for a long time. Two broken people under a collapsing world, whispering plans like kids under blankets, hoping the monsters outside would forget we were there. Then, her voice cut through again. "Daniel, yeah? If it comes down to it, if it's me or the mission..." She didn't finish. I didn't let her. "No, it's not your choice. Then it's not yours either." She stared at me. Not like a partner, not like a stranger, but like someone deciding if I was still human or already gone. We didn't say another word that night, because some choices don't come in words. They come in the moments when you stop talking and start moving. And we were almost there. We didn't wait for dawn. There was no point anymore. Time inside the lodge didn't flow. It twisted. It bent around fear, compressed by silence. If you stood still too long, you stopped being part of the game. You became part of the ground. So we moved. First target, the perimeter tower near the North Ridge. Ava knew it. Used to sync data, recharge drones, reroute feeds. One less signal meant one less eye in the trees, We got there just before the next shift. 2 guards, bored, backlit by the glow of monitors. I asked Ava once, before we went in, if she wanted to sneak past. She just said, no. It was fast, brutal, precise. She didn't hesitate. I didn't either. 1 shot, suppressed, into the back of the neck. The other, I handled with the blade. I didn't even feel it go in. Only noticed the blood when my hand started slipping on the hilt. That was the moment I realized I didn't feel anything. Not anger, not revenge, not satisfaction, just necessity. We stripped the gear. Ava patched into the console. Live relay, she said. The lodge knows something's wrong. Let them. She glanced at me. Something between fear and recognition. You're not the same guy I met by that creek. I'm not, I said. Next stop, the command relay, then the kennel, then the fire lines. We weren't running anymore. We were setting traps, hacking paths, rerouting drones, scrambling trackers. I saw 3 more hunters fall that night, 1 by our hand, 2 by their own stupidity. Turns out when you take their cameras away, the predators start panicking, and panic is loud. One of them screamed when we hit his leg with a buried spike. Kept screaming, even when Ava told him to shut up. I wanted to silence him. I wanted to watch. That scared me more than anything. Ava saw it in my eyes. You're going too far, she said. They deserve worse. Maybe, she said, but you don't. We stopped near a ravine to rest. I rinsed blood off my hands in the stream. It didn't come out fully. Ava sat on a rock, cradling her ribs. Her breathing was worse now. She didn't complain. Lang's watching, she said. If she's still alive, she's watching us, studying how far you'll go. I looked at the trees. They weren't whispering anymore. They were silent, like they were waiting for my answer. What if I go all the way? I asked. She didn't reply, because she didn't have to. We both knew what happened to people who let the system change them. They didn't leave. They adapted. They became useful. We climbed toward the upper levels of the lodge, the ones visitors never saw. Power centers, drone nests, signal repeaters. 1 by 1, we lit them up. Explosions rolled through the forest like thunder. The sky glowed orange. And somewhere inside the lodge, I imagined Lang tilting her head and smiling. Because whether I meant to or not, I'd become part of the experiment now. I wasn't breaking the system anymore. I was rewriting it. The core was beneath the main structure. Of course it was. We reached it just before dawn. Sky bleeding gray. Smoke rolling through the trees like ghosts in a hurry. Alarms were screaming somewhere above, but not here. Not yet. Here, everything hummed, smooth, sterile, ready. Ava found the hatch, a keypad hidden behind a false panel of moss-covered rock. She entered the code from memory. The door didn't open right away. It exhaled, like the mountain was letting us in. Inside, light, not flickering, bright, white, endless. Corridor after corridor, walls clean as bone, the air dry and electric. This wasn't part of the forest. This was something else entirely, a root system of control. This is where they built the hive, Ava said. I didn't ask what she meant. I didn't have to. Room after room passed us, server clusters, surveillance banks, energy coils, names I didn't understand. And then we found it. The fire room. That's what Ava called it. I didn't know if it was official, but it fit. A circular chamber at the heart of it all. Floor-to-ceiling processors, temperature regulators pulsing red, data streaming across curved glass and coded lines, names, scores, triggers, response patterns. This was the brain. Every move we made, every scream, every breath, every betrayal had passed through here. I stood in the center, and I wanted to scream, but instead, I moved. Ava slumped down near the terminal. Her lips were pale. Her hands shook. I can't go with you, she whispered. You're not staying here. I can't finish this. You'll have to upload it. She slid the drive into my hand, black, simple, heavy. This has everything, she said. The scans, the feeds, names, schedules, investors. Her breath caught. I told myself, if I got it out, it'd all stop. I knelt beside her. It will. She looked at me, like she didn't believe it, like she'd seen too many endings where nothing changed. Then she smiled, weakly. I never liked fire, she said. I stood, walked to the control panel. The system recognized the drive. A small screen blinked once. Transfer ready. I pressed it. Data streamed, faster than I could read. Every secret, every test, every name, every face, all flowing into something outside the walls. An uplink, a leak, a detonation. Ava closed her eyes. You should go, she said. I'm not leaving you. You have to. I shook my head. Somewhere above us, something collapsed. A shockwave. Dust fell from the ceiling. The upload reached 91%. I watched it crawl. Every second felt like a blade. Then, a hiss behind me. The backup systems, waking up. Lang knew this was coming, Ava said. She built fail-safes. You'll have to shut them down manually. Where? She pointed to a sealed panel, red light pulsing behind it. I moved, wrench in hand, ripped the panel off. Sparks, heat, warning sirens. I yanked every cable I could find, one by one, until the hum cracked, until the light dimmed, and then the screen blinked. Upload complete. Silence. Real silence. Like the world had just exhaled. I turned to Ava, but she was already slipping. Eyes glassy, pulse fading. She smiled one last time. Now burn it. I did. I opened the emergency controls, flipped the override, and lit the core. Flames crawled up the walls like they'd been waiting. Red, orange, white, not chaotic, beautiful. And behind me, everything we were died with it. But maybe, just maybe, something else had a chance to live. I don't remember how we got out. Only fragments, flames behind us, concrete splitting, my boots dragging, Ava's weight across my shoulders, too light, too still. The sky wasn't black anymore. It was ash. The lodge was burning. But the world didn't notice. Not right away. The file uploaded. I know that much. It pinged enough servers, enough dead drops, enough watchers that someone, somewhere, saw it. But nothing exploded. No headlines, no arrests, just silence and doubt. We've been out for 19 days now, hiding, motel to motel, burner phones, no names, no fingerprints. Ava, she never woke up. She died 2 hours after we made it out, in the back of a stolen van, with my hand still on hers. She didn't get to see the world react, but I did, and what I saw was indifference. A few blog posts, a few angry threads on dark forums. Conspiracy, staged ARG. AI simulation hoax. Nothing mainstream, nothing serious. Some accounts vanished, some were discredited, some were bought. Lang, if she's dead, no one confirmed it. If she's alive, she's quieter than ever. The system absorbed the blow and kept breathing. Maybe they moved the project. Maybe they had backups. Maybe what we destroyed was just one part of a larger thing. Or maybe it doesn't matter anymore. Because no one's coming for justice. Not the police, not the public, not the people who funded it. But someone is coming. For me. I've seen the same white sedan 3 times in 3 cities. My last hotel room was entered while I was out. Nothing taken. Just shifted. My toothbrush moved. The TV unplugged. A hair from someone else on the pillow. It's not a threat. It's a reminder. They know I'm talking. They want me to feel watched. It's working. I record this now, not because I expect anyone to believe it. I don't. I record it because this is the only thing left I control. My voice. My truth. What happened in the lodge was real. They hunted people. They studied us. They called it behavior science. I call it, I don't know, Evil doesn't even seem like the right word anymore. It's too old, too clean. What they did was worse, because they smiled through it, because they made rules for it, because they called it necessary. If you're hearing this, I'm probably already gone. But maybe, just maybe, if you know what to look for, if you know how to listen, you'll hear them too. In the quiet, in the trees, in the hum behind your walls. And when you do, don't run, don't fight, just watch. And ask yourself one thing: how long until it's your turn? This'll be the last one. I'm not even sure who I'm speaking to anymore. The file's out, the story's told. The names are burned into data I can't trace. Maybe someone picked it up. Maybe no one did. Maybe it doesn't matter. I've stopped running, not because I'm safe, because I'm somewhere else now. Desert, borderless, flat horizon, endless sky, a place not marked on any map, the kind you don't stumble into unless you're invited. They brought me here, or maybe I came on my own. There's a facility behind me, low, clean, symmetrical. Looks like a clinic, sounds like a church, smells like metal. No guards, no fences, just presence. They didn't force me, they just opened the door. And I walked in. Same bracelet, different color now, matte gray. I wear it without thinking. I eat what they give me. I wake when the lights tell me. I don't ask questions, because I already know the answers. Not facts, when those are easy to forget, but the feeling, the shape of how far a person bends before they break. That's the part that stays. They've stopped calling it the lodge. Different name now. Smoother. Clinical. I heard someone say it in passing. Something about Tier 7 development, behavior layering, predictive ethics. Doesn't matter. It's the same system, same teeth, same game, different mask. Sometimes they let me walk the halls alone. Sometimes they bring new people. I don't talk to them. I just observe. Quiet, efficient, useful. I understand now what laying meant. You're not in a cage. You're in a test. I failed the test a long time ago. Or maybe I passed. What's the difference? No one tells you when the test ends. You just stop needing the answers. And when that happens, they give you a new job. I don't feel guilt anymore. I don't feel much of anything. But sometimes, not often, I think about Ava. And I wonder if she'd still look at me the way she did in the tunnel, with that question in her eyes. Are you still human? I don't know. Not anymore. But maybe that's the point. Maybe this was never about stopping them. Maybe it was about finding out how far someone like me would go before I became one of them. Maybe I always was. Maybe that's why they chose me, why they called me, why I answered. You want to know the truth? I think this system survives because people like me exist. And if I'm being honest, and if I'm really, truly honest, I don't think I want out. Not anymore.